I know, this is BookTube, a safe and warm environment where we can have erudite discussions about the larger literary canon, where the commenters are effusive in their praise and supportive in their words, a cozy and nice corner of the internet where reasoned discussion lives in the comments. Not like the raging cesspool of filth that is video game YouTube, where the knuckle-dragging, mouth-breathing denizens hurl misogynistic slurs and homophobic epithets at each other in the dumpster fire that is their comment section. Where the basement-dwelling denizens grew up playing Doom, Duke Nukem, and Wolfenstein, fed a steady diet of blowing up 8-bit aliens, demons, and Nazis, and then progressing to open sandbox games like Grand Theft Autos that allowed them to stoop to new depths of depravity, such as soliciting the services of a streetwalker, and then after the deed is done, running her over with your vehicle so that you could steal back your money. Even a game as benign as The Sims isn't free from their sort of trashy minds where they might lock a poor, defenseless Sim in a room with no doors, stuffed with 5 ovens until a tragic kitchen accident consumed them in flames, or simply swimming in the backyard, removing the ladder, somehow inexplicably resulting in the Sim dying through drowning. I mean, the barbarity. Well, I'm here to tell you that not all video games contain such questionable escapist fare made for such itchy trigger fingers that want to raid tombs, kill zombies, slay dragons, and assassinate Knights Templar. There's another type of video game called the walking simulator. And I know it was called that initially as a pejorative term to describe a particular type of game that's more narratively focused as opposed to leveling up to bigger and badder guns and stronger armor. It's interactive storytelling or a narrative adventure game. Firewatch was a great example of this that I absolutely loved and played last year, but more recently I got my hands on a game called What Remains of Edith Finch. And I'm here to tell you that it is fantastic. 17-year-old Edith Finch is returning to her childhood home after the death of her mother. And right away you feel how immersive this game is. Everything from the impressive visuals, the haunting soundtrack, and the pitch-perfect sound design just sucks you right in. Do yourself a favor, make sure you play this game with the headphones on. The Finch home is an architectural impossibility amidst the rain-soaked forests of Orca's Island. This thing looks like something Tim Burton would have grown up in. Edith has returned to try and unravel the Finch curse. This is something that has haunted the Finch family for generations, and has meant very few of them have had the luxury of dying through old age. And this just feels like an interactive modern update to Edward Gorey's Alphabet. The game does a fantastic job of nudging you through the narrative in a way that feels organic and not constrained, despite the fact that you're on a very tightly defined path. You're exploring the house and you're getting the multi-generational Finch story told in tiny little vignettes. Each character's room is a little mausoleum that sends you on a first-person journey through that character's eyes on their last day on this earth. And I know, it all sounds pretty grim, but it's not. What Remains of Edith Finch is like a book, and like a book, everyone's going to take something different from the story. When you're traveling in that first-person perspective through each character's last day, it doesn't feel tragic or sad. It feels almost triumphant. Every character leaves the world filled with light, hope, and joy, and I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that. I'm not familiar with that familial loss that's shown here, but at the same time, this still felt very personal. To me, it was about memory and nostalgia. The house Edith moves around in is nothing like the house I grew up in, yet it feels intimately familiar. It feels like flipping through an old photo album and seeing the house I grew up in, but can barely remember. It's a world of shag carpeting, wood-paneled walls, and teak furniture. I think a reviewer put it best when he said, it allows you to experience something as an adult the way you used to experience books as a child. The game is infused with a bittersweet melancholy that I loved. Every single one of the Finch's stories is unique, but one of my most favorite was that of Lewis Finch. He worked at the salmon cannery, and his job was simply to grab the fish, guillotine the head off, and send it down the line. And then the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And I don't know if you've ever worked the line before. I've spent an entire day taping boxes shut on a line. I've worked at a bread line, stacking bread pallets over and over and over again. And I can tell you, when you're doing that, you're isolated by the factory noise, you can't talk to other people, you are living entirely in your head, and you need to go away somewhere. And that's exactly what Lewis does. As you're controlling him moving the fish down the line, you're also controlling him navigating through this imaginary world. And I thought this was the perfect interactive metaphor and beautifully done. Anyway, needless to say, I absolutely loved the game. It was a little over 2 hours worth of gameplay, but well worth it. At full pop over at Steam, it was $20, but I waited and got it for 50% off, so it was totally worth the price. I also love the fact that the Finches are avid readers. Scattered throughout the entire house are bookshelves stuffed to overflowing with books. And there you'll find such titles like Infinite Jest, Oryx and Crake, Siddhartha, Oliver Twist, The Metamorphosis, and more. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. If you had a chance to play it, I'd love to know what you thought of it in the comments down below. Or if you have any other recommendations for walking simulators or even independent and indie games that were fantastic to play, I'd love to know and hear about in the comments down below. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a great week of reading, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.